Kraken head coach Dave Hakstol joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. And coach, I'm actually going to start at the end. I got to be really honest. Your team went further than even I expected. It was a hell of a season to watch, but take me into the locker room in that final Game 7 loss to the Stars. What was the message that you left your guys with?
You know, it's a hard time to sum up a year when when you've just got a few minutes to do it, before media and everything comes into the dressing room. Game 7 is a pretty emotional time. You expect to be playing in 2 days because you expect to win Game 7, and all of a sudden, it's like hitting a brick wall, and it comes to an end. So pretty emotional room. My message was just, to make sure everybody takes just a couple minutes to really be proud of the accomplishments and the things that we were able to do and become part of in the city of Seattle. And as I said, pretty tough to make a lot of sense and really bring it into perspective. But I really wanted the guys to take pride in what they had accomplished.
Hey, Coach, it was a long season and fun to watch this team grow. When you started this season, I would assume you guys go into your camp, you start the season, say, this is the team that we want to be. As the season progresses, your team starts to change a bit. The team that you expected you guys to have at the beginning, was that the team you ended up with at the end of the day?
Well, we grew. I use the term, progress. A lot early in the year that we wanted to show progress, and we saw that progress right away in training camp. That's nothing that can be measured through stats or any numerical value, but we saw the progress. We knew that we were a better team. We were a better team on paper with the roster that Ron and his staff put together throughout the summer, with some of the positive changes, with Matty Beniers coming in, Ollie Bjorkstrand, Schultze. So many, a lot of good names joining our roster. But from there, we had to grow as a team, and you had to build belief. And yeah, absolutely, we saw that belief grow throughout the year, through some different stretches, and it manifests itself through some good win streaks, but also more importantly through the ability to stay even keel and positive when you lose a couple and turn it around early. So we saw that grow throughout the year.
Hey, speaking of losing a couple, in this case, I mean players, you lost one of your best players heading into the playoffs, and then your top scorer during the playoffs. Now, thankfully, McCann was able to come back, but did you notice any one of your players kind of meet the moment and step up in their absence?
Well, the way we were built, it was really by committee, and you mentioned losing Burakovsky, coming out of the All-Star break, and hoping you're going to get him back somewhere along the way, all the way along. But just the nature of the injury, we weren't able to have him come back into the lineup. So that's a big loss. When you look at little things that, that can alter a Game 7, we had an opportunity in Dallas, a couple great opportunities mid-game, weren't able to capitalize. Rupe Hintz for them gets, one good opportunity, and the game is 1-0 Dallas's direction. So, that's a game-breaking type of player, a high-level player. And we missed Berkey. We missed him a lot, but the guys did a good job filling in. And then with Jared going out early in the Colorado series, that was a real key point for us. Obviously, Kartai came up from the American League. Speaks to the job that Danny Bilesma and the group down there has done developing players. But Karts was able to come up, step into that spot with the support of a lot of really good veterans around him. I think that's the key that helped Karts be successful, stepping into Jared's spot there. So really a lot of it by committee.
Coach, I found myself identifying with Yanni Gord, man. I love that dude, man. His attitude, the way that he plays. How important was he to this team, and what role did he play for you out there on the ice?
Yeah, Michael, I felt like, and we were only halfway there, right? We were almost halfway towards that, the big trophy. But, in my estimation, Gordo was our playoff MVP. He ended up being our leading scorer, but just everything that he brings to the table in terms of effort, energy, absolute intensity, that passion that he brings. And the key thing that I'll bring on top of all of that, he's one of the guys, and we had several, but he's one of the individuals that had the ability to raise his level and understands what that means at playoff time. He's been through it. He's done it. He's won. He's one of our guys that has won cups, and he had the ability to raise that level from the regular season to what it takes to win in the playoffs. So, yeah, he meant a hell of a lot to us.
We're talking with Kraken head coach Dave Hakstol right now. Just a few more minutes here. And, Coach, this was an unbelievable turnaround from year one to year two for your guys, for your culture. Not just what you guys were able to do offensively, but, I mean, you talk about fan excitement and just kind of the culture that was created locally. I mean, I went home to visit my parents in Vancouver, and they were watching the game, and I was like, I didn't even know you guys knew hockey. And they were like, we don't. They were just tuning in anyway. Is there any one moment, and this can be anything, where you look back as a coach on this season and you just think, I'm so proud of this?
It's really the whole piece, and it's hard to just put into a summation, but we felt like we were a little bit better than what our record showed in year one. But in some cases, maybe it's okay that we had to go through that. That's part of the building process. You learn a lot about the character of individuals and the character of your group, as you go through the last 20 games of year one. Those were hard months, but guys stuck with it, and we saw a foundation. Flipping to year two, I saw it right from day one of training camp, but I can tell you, Game 6 of the Dallas series, I really felt like hockey's arrived in Seattle. Like, this is one of the greatest atmospheres that I'd been part of, regular season or playoff, anywhere in my time in the league. And, just to kind of experience that along with the fans, and just feel that passion, that was a pretty cool moment, and a moment that we all want to remember and now make sure that we're motivated by as we come back next year to try to work to build another successful season.
Coach, you experienced 2 Game 7s in the playoffs. Obviously, you pushed the defending champs Avalanche to 7 and then Dallas Stars to 7. I know it's unfortunate to end the season the way that you did, but you've had a chance to look at some of the best teams in the league and kind of compare your team and say, all right, we're not that far off from really making another run at this. When you assess your team, what do you think is the next step for you guys to get to the big game, man, and hoist that cup?
Well, a couple things come to mind. We have to keep growing. That's number one. You really learn a lot at playoff time, right? That's when you really learn the true ability, the true character, the true mental capacity of individual players, as a staff, as a team. I felt like we were the best team in the playoffs. The 4 remaining teams are all very similar in terms of they use their depth. Everybody's got a role and is very important, and that's pretty typical at this time of year. You get to the Final Four, that's what you would expect. So for me, we need to keep growing. Mostly, we need to keep growing from within, continue growing in terms of adding difference makers. The more guys that you can add that are impact guys that can make a difference at that critical time of the game, it becomes more and more series going on right now. Great depth and a number of difference makers on each of these teams. So, simply have to keep growing. We have to maintain that the team mentality that we were able to build and grow over the last 2 years, really. And then we just have to continue adding to our roster and continuing to find different ways, to affect that outcome at the most critical time of the year. And that means guys stepping up and making the difference in a hockey game.
Hey, Coach, every club does this differently. How involved will you be in free agency and trades this offseason?
That's Ron and his staff's role. I've really fortunate to be in a situation where, I feel Ron and I and his staff and our staff have great communication. We have input. We have great dialogue. I think that's one of the things that helps us grow and has helped us become the team that we are now. Ultimately, that's Ron and his staff have done a ton of homework. They will make the final decisions, and it's been a great formula for us to this point, and that's the way we're going to continue.
Every chance I get, I ask about Shane Wright, the number 4 pick in the draft this past season. What have you heard about his development, and how do you think he helps this team out next year?
Well, first of all, for next year, that's going to have to be determined as he comes to camp. So, the most important part for him is going to be, how he's able to put together his summer, have, a great hard-working summer, getting himself prepared, growing as an athlete, and coming through his season, coming out of the Ontario Hockey League. I think, he went in and had a great impact. Yet, probably everybody had, a hope for a little longer playoff run for him and his team. That would have been valuable, but that's not the case. So he's in Coachella Valley now. That's a real successful team. He's around a lot of really good veteran players down there. He's challenged every day for a lineup spot and to improve what he's doing. So you're going to see continued growth through his experiences down there. And then, as I said, coming into next year, he's going to have to come in and be ready to earn a spot in training camp. We believe that he's going to be able to do that, but he has to, he ultimately has to be the guy that individually is ready to do that and shows us that at training camp.
Hey, Coach, last question for me here. Obviously, you guys are going to have a busy offseason and probably a very, very quick offseason while you work to get back not only to the playoffs, but to get to a Stanley Cup final. But how are you taking time off? I mean, are you going to have any time to relax and any time to spend time with family? I mean, get out there and get any hobbies done?
Absolutely. We, right after this, obviously, there's a few intense days there of wrapping up and year-end meetings and individual meetings and staff meetings, things like that. Now is a great time to step away for, a week to 10 days and just get a breath and mostly get a perspective, right? Just step back and get a real perspective on where we're coming from and then the challenge ahead. And you said it, and, very, very accurately. The first thing on our list next year is to be able to come back and build a successful regular season that puts us back into the playoffs. And that's, that task doesn't become any easier next year than it was this year for us. So that's where our focus will be. I think we'll be a team that has great motivation when we come to training camp. And between now and the start of training camp, we'll take a look at the changes and adjustments that we want to make. Without making any major adjustments to the way we're playing, there's some tweaks that we want to be able to put into our game and some growth that we want to see. And then it's a matter of going and executing once we come back in late August and mid-September.
Coach, last one I got for you. It's a statement and a question. So I watched all your games this year. There's a great hockey bar called Moonshine at Linwood. They love you guys. And after your Game 7 win against the Avalanche, you didn't smile. You didn't celebrate. Just firm handshakes all around. And I go, that's a coach I want to play for. Never played hockey, coach, but I'm like, that's a coach I want to play for. Has that always been your demeanor? Have you just been kind of a straightforward, no nonsense, got the job done, let's move on type of guy?
Yeah, that's the way it always ends up on camera. I can tell you, we celebrated once we got off in the room with the guys. We were pretty excited. Just on the bench, it's business, right? And that's the demeanor that I've always carried. But Man, we were fired up to get through the Game 7 and have the chance to get into to the second round. And believe me, inside the dressing room, it was a pretty excited crew from staff all the way through the players.
Love it.
Hey, hell of a season, hell of a playoff run. It's been something else to watch, and we know next year is going to be even better. He is head coach Dave Hakstol. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks for having me on, and thanks for the great coverage throughout the year. Look forward to seeing you soon.